What's going on, guys? It's Rupert here. Have you noticed that the bag of chips that you've been eating is running out a little quicker than you thought it would? Or your roll of tissue papers isn't lasting you as long? If you said yes to any of those questions, no, we are not imagining things. We actually have a word for it. It's called shrinkflation. It's real. It's happening all around us. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what shrinkflation is, why companies are doing this, what impact does this have on you, and what does the future look like for the food industry? Let's not waste time, let's go. Now, you guys have heard of inflation, deflation, disinflation. What exactly is shrinkflation? It's when a company sneakily reduces the size or the quantity of a product while keeping the price the exact same. So the candy bar, let's say you absolutely love and you go to the grocery store every time you buy it, the size of that could go from 1.6 ounces to 1.5 ounces, and you still end up paying the same price at the cashier. That's not fair. So it's a very sneaky way for companies to increase cost without directly raising the prices. And that's because, let's face it, as consumers, we're gonna notice a price increase more than we notice a few chips missing out of your chip bag. Now let's talk about why companies are doing this and why they think that they can just get away with this. First of all, companies aren't doing this just to mess with us. We all know and understand that. They actually have problems of their own. And those problems for companies include rising costs for materials, rising costs for labor, rising costs for everything that it takes for the product to be into your hands. And now the company's got two choices. The first one is to increase the price, and the second one is to reduce the quantity of the product itself. We both know that they're choosing the latter of those two. And that's exactly how shrinkflation works. One hand is going to distract the consumer, and the other hand is going to steal the stuff. So by reducing the product size by just a little or just enough for the consumer to barely notice, that's how they save, and that's why companies continue and will continue to do it. And now let's talk about how this affects the consumer, people like me and you who are buying groceries from the big name brands every week. So I'm going to give you an example of Joe. For example, he goes to the grocery store and he buys the same thing every time. Every week he buys the same thing with a specific amount of cash. So with shrinkflation, the same items that were lasting Joe for 7 days is now only lasting Joe for 6 days. And Joe's been buying the same old stuff. It didn't change. And guess what this means? This means more trips for Joe and more money out of his pockets. It's basically another form of inflation, except it doesn't move the price, but it has the same effect on your wallet. And here's another thing, shrinkflation is making it so much more harder to find real value in products. Deals and discounts become harder to judge because now it's not just about the price, it's about how much you're actually getting. And this process adds a whole layer to grocery shopping that no one really asked for. It becomes a math exercise instead of a grocery shopping experience because now you gotta figure out which jar of peanut butter, which jar of honey is giving you more bang for your buck. And let's not forget those who are already stretching their budget to as far as they can go. For families on a budget, and I understand this, every dollar and every cent counts. And shrinkflation quietly eats into their budget, forcing them to make hard choices. Another thing I want to mention is that this actually got the attention of President Joe Biden. Now, credit where credit is due, the man raised an important topic for the economy. Here's a video.
If you're anything like me, you like to be surrounded by a snack or two while watching the big game. You know, when buying snacks for the game, you might have noticed one thing. Sports drinks bottles are smaller. A bag of chips has fewer chips. They're still charging it just as much. And as an ice cream lover, what makes me the most angry is that ice cream cartons have actually shrunk in size, but not in price. I've had enough of what they call shrinkflation. It's a ripoff. Some companies are trying to pull a fast one by shrinking the products little by little and hoping you won't notice. Give me a break. The American public is tired of being played for suckers. I'm calling on companies to put a stop to this. Let's make sure businesses do the right thing now.
All right, now let's look forward and ask ourselves, what does the future look like for the food industry? Will shrinkflation continue into the future? Long story short, yes, it will. This trend is going to continue for as long as the cost of materials rise, cost of labor rise, and cost of everything else rises for the company. Also, not to mention the greed that the food executives have is always going to remain. However, with more awareness in social media and people being more skeptical with the products that they get, we can actually make sure that the companies don't keep getting away with this. In a perfect world, companies would find more transparent ways to address rising costs, perhaps by improving product efficiency or investing in sustainability to cut expenses in the long run. But we all know that's not going to happen. So next time you're out shopping, take a closer look at the products that you're buying. You may actually spot shrinkflation in action. Until next time, guys, thank you so much. For those of you who watched all the way until the end, I really appreciate it. If you could like, subscribe, or comment about what you think about the video, I would love it. I would love feedback. Thank you so much. Take care.